So now it's turning out Pfizer had ample information saying that 4 out of 10 pregnant women had stillbirths after the vax, from their own data. Their own data says this now. Naomi Wolf has been breaking down all the raw data. She has an organization breaking this down. So what this means is that this was literally, they went out of their way to try to get women to take the vax, and even though there was ample, they knew this altered your menstrual cycle. They knew that if you were pregnant, this could complicate your pregnancy or end it. That the vax was literally 4 out of 10 times is an abortive. 4 out of 10 times it's an abortive. And you know what you feminists and all of you liberal women are going to do, especially you women in the Northwest, because you're smart. You're so smart. See, they only build rockets in Texas. They only have, like, petroleum engineering. They only have, like, large Air Force bases there and, like, all these, like, really good-looking people. And in the Northwest, we have, like, junkies and a city that nobody wants to visit, and, like, junkies and, like, empty space. And a bunch of women who now are going to keep voting Democratic. Why? Because, one, welfare. You are on welfare. Without EBT, there are hordes of you women in the Northwest that you can't eat. You went to college, you have a degree, you're supposedly this and that, you're so goddamn smart. Oh, how could these people not understand the climate change? They're so dumb, they didn't take their vax, they're into disinformation. You're the one who's in debt. You're in debt, not me. You're in debt. Not the deep right. The deep right is way ahead of you all. So, you're going to do nothing. You're even going to vote Democratic again. Like hoes. You're going to be like, come on, pimp. Give me my money, pimp. I pay off my debts, pimp daddy. That's what you're going to be like. You're just hoes. You're going to vote like hoes. You see, you could have feminine dignity and be like an American woman. American women, there's some things that, no, you can't just say that to an American woman. American women don't just do anything. Oh, let's see. Let us see, shall we? This is going to be the great decider, too. These next coming elections, women who you go rightward, you will have actual people you will have people, there will be people that will embrace you as a part of their own. Those of you on the left, it's like, no, we know you got nothing. You have these languishing, like, events for, like, drug events, like, so people could take drugs or talk about when they used to take lots of drugs and dress like they did when they were, like, really hurt EDM fans. Or hurt EDM fans. Now they're really hurt because now you're old and you have dad bods, whether you're a man or a woman. A bunch of men shaped like women. A bunch of women who have backs like men. Tattoos all over. Ugh. So hurt. I just look at just Gen X and then I look at the millennials. I'm like, wow, the wall has not just defeated them all, the fucking wall has fallen on them. And it's the dudes too. These guys who I look at them and I'm like, you are mutated. the fuck? You know, I'm so thankful that I listened to my martial arts instructor. That I found a mentor in my early 20s. My dad was dying, and he was a scoundrel libertarian who had killed men for money, and had been raised in such culture. And he was really like, no, you are from San Francisco, so the only thing you really understand is fantasy and wimpiness. That you don't understand the real world, the world outside of this place. And I had to, eventually I was like, no, he never, and at some point he said, who's the teacher, who's the student? Do you think I'm lying to you? And I was like, God damn it. It's like, I don't have to be right about everything, but you should know when I'm telling you something, there's a good reason for it. I had to accept that. I had to accept this idea in my 20s that maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was horribly wrong, and I just didn't know. And it was somebody who kept showing me new things all the time, and then making me understand. Now that you know what this is, now that you've repeated it so many times, it is now a part of you. You are what you do. So, Democrats, I love this Sam Harris thing popped up, and I'm just sitting there and I was like, and just really Sam Harris has truly exposed how that there's, this always hit me that I'm like, this guy's demented at some level. There's something about this guy that just he's too into himself. That kind of, that photo, I'm looking deep into you, you know, just everything, it's just emo, you know. And then I'm like, oh, your parents were actors. Oh, you were raised in that community in L.A. Got your number, Jack. It was one of those where all I got to do is wait now. All I got to do is wait. And either this guy's going to say at some point, I was wrong, because I was poorly informed and I was being stupid. See, like Scott Adams should admit, I was wrong, I was full of myself, and I was being a dumb shit. People who had put in study in this field were telling me I was going to be proven horribly wrong. And now Scott Adams is super mega horribly wrong. Super mega. And yeah. And I can't believe the whole idea of, so are you getting numbers from an independent source? So you literally are actually sitting there now saying this, and this, insisting on it, even though literally the scientific method is being violated. We're changing the definition of things so that the outcomes fit definitions. You are still insisting, no, you are demented. Demento. Problems with the fucking, problems somewhere in here. And that's the thing, is yeah, so Sam Harris has really showed it, where he's trying to say this and that about Trump, this and that about Hunter Biden, and it's like, and really one of the things that he's really showing is that, like a lot of liberals, you then understand why the progressives were so similar to the fascists. Not the Nazis, but the fascists. And they even had kind of, you know, but yeah, the whole thing with the Klan and the Democrats and all that. But no, the progressives really were these people who, it really is this idea of that at a certain point you're just right, and you should be able to then use any power of the government as you see fit, no matter if it's constitutionally sound or not. And only because conservatives started attacking all of this through law, saying all this stuff, this is just not constitutional. There's no grounds for this. Without Trump getting federal society judges to actually protect all of our rights from the Democrats, I mean, imagine what would have happened if Trump hadn't gotten all those people from the Federalist Society seated. And now lawyers are trying to figure out how to eliminate, how to get the Federalist Society and Constitutionalists, how to excise them from law. So Mike Pondsmith cyberpunk is totally correct. One day there will be a purge of the lawyers. One day it will literally be that to eliminate the commie lawyers, to eliminate the anti-constitutionalist lawyers. Sam Harris to me hit me as he is one of these people that I fundamentally kind of look at and I'm like, he's an anti-white. He doesn't have to even do the CRT thing or any of that. No. Everybody who has a problem with Trump, if you get into enough conversations, at some point they're going to try to do this thing where you realize what they're saying is European Christians, the European Gentiles, and their way of life, or the way they think, is the inherent problem. That all these simple people, are the ones who they're attacking the blacks in the streets. That it wasn't historically the elite Democrats and the power that they would wield power unconstitutionally to menace black people and Catholics. That they will never deal with this. They'll never deal with. Democrats are the ones who are consistently violent during the entire Trump administration. Consistently. The left was consistently violent. The Antifa are Democrats. They would vote Democratic if they were to vote. All of it. No, you all are full of shit. And really it's because being truthful in that way is very British. It is very white to be rational and truthful, and that Sam Harris is now showing that he hates truth. He hates the truth. He actually despises truthfulness. He despises especially the courage, because Trump stands up for virtue and courage, and while he might not believe so, he would be wrong because he's demented. And what he said about Hunter Biden, this should have immediately made it understood that it did literally, we have a president who sponsored a junta, and then the entire Democratic Party, all their leadership sent their kids to get rich on this country that they turned over, just so that then they could goad goad the Russians into war. And that this is still, he's not even tripping. None of this, he's not like at some point, yeah, I had that totally wrong. I was in a weird state of mind. And I really was sitting there thinking about people like this are consistently thespians from the culture of thespians, or they're wimps, former addicts, alcoholics, or fucking pussy beggars. The guys who they cannot be a dude who doesn't have some woman telling them what to do and approving of their point of view. And that if the woman doesn't approve of their point of view, they will do anything. They'll suck the devil's dick to get approval from their woman or or a group of women. And they know it might be because they are going to lose their kids. My wife will take off the fucking kids, and she'll hang out with all these old bents, these demented old bents, and they're fucking, these people they'll turn my kids into fucking trannies. A lot of men know this, so they'll do anything it takes to not they'll sit there and they'll be busters, especially here in the Northwest. Busters, just fucking busters, marks and busters. So many liberal marks and busters who think, oh, I did hella dirt, I sold hella drugs, you don't even know. And it's like, well, did you vote Democratic? Oh, well, yeah. It's like, so BLM, did you give money to BLM? I mean, because that makes you a complete mark-ass buster. And it's really, have you always been a wimp? Have you always gotten your pockets turned out by usually blacks? You never decided to peel one of their caps back or hit or bat one, so that they knew, oh, don't fuck with that kid, that you decided to let one of these fools know, or you ran with a crew that would let people know, or you were a wimp such that you didn't involve yourself in something that put you among men that or boys that were becoming men, that you didn't enter a healthy cult of manhood. There's lots of that kind of thing that you see, but a lot of it is just like fail state, like people hitting the fail state. And then there's the thing of, are you a complete ignoramus? That's one that you find a lot here on the West Coast, and the people who their sources are just from the outhouse of information, of political information. It's written on the walls of the outhouse of information where they get their knowledge from about politics. And so it's with Sam Harris. He's one of these. To me, he's just a gatekeeper who finally got caught in, like, oh, so you're wrong, right? You know you're wrong. You look like a demented bitch, and you look like a buster and a mark, and you look like a sucker, and do you understand that, and it was necessary because Trump is so dangerous, and you just start sitting there and you're like, are you a Jew? This keeps happening, and then you realize, wait, in fact, you kind of are, except that you're even more typical, because in this case, you're one of these guys who you don't worship. So you're one of these people with the paranoia and the histrionics, but you have no cultural grounding. You're a rolling stone. You're a Flying Dutchman. As soon as I started to look back into Catholicism, I said, my teacher said I should understand Kabbalah. My mother wanted me to train to be a priest. Maybe at some point I should think, Donovan, maybe you're wrong, and you should do what you were told. Just try not to be rebellious. And that was when I was in my 30s. And that was one of the best things I ever did. Because there were so many things. I just hadn't realized how incredibly errant my thinking had been. So it's just, this is just really that keeps happening so much. These people who they just freak out and they think that Trump's doing all these horrible things. And it's like, actually, in fact, it's entirely Democrats and people left of center committing, like, mass violence that no one will do anything about. News companies won't even report on it. These people are streaming their riots to YouTube. They're streaming their riots. These people are rioting. They're taping it, being like, oh yeah, donate to my Cash App. Yeah, dog. And unicorn riot. Yeah, there was some of these people when they were rioting in Eugene for whatever reason and decided they were going to destroy the Five Guys. Was it one of these people was carrying a gun around? He was carrying a fucking gun. He admitted it on the stream. Are you strapped? He's like, oh yeah. And I'm just like, this is Eugene, Oregon. Black people are 2% of the total population here. This city has had reggae versus hip-hop was the longest lasting both hip-hop and reggae event on the coast itself consistently. There's only music festivals going back to like the 70s and weird shit like that can beat that. This city had literally people so dedicated to hip-hop and reggae, they kept it going at a bar every single Wednesday or Thursday for like a decade or more. Nobody's beaten that on this coast. Like, to the point where, I mean, like, really, like, the guy's like, no, I checked into it. The only other people who had anything like that, the place would close, they would stop the event. Then our place never closed, so we never stopped the event. So this, and just like the man who started the Latin show here, he's still here. I still see him. I still see Herman. If you know who he is, you know who Herman is. You know, poor man. Yeah, poor fella. Poor fella. But boy, he's lived a full life. But, and there's just, I mean, yeah. There's even people who I can't even talk about. That they're like, why is everybody acting like Donald Trump's some bad guy? And I'm like, right? I'm like, oh, I forget. You're from the real world. You moved here from another country and brought the whole act here. And everybody here kisses your ass because of who you are and who you were and the music and the whole thing, and you still perform for them. But these people have no idea how you think. And they think they're fighting the revolution. That was the best part, when Herman and I were laughing about, oh, the revolution, right? Yeah, the revolution. Oh my God. It is, yeah. So I just, the Northwest is going to fail. It's going to fail miserably. I'm actually really surprised. I'm still getting the data that's coming in about BlackRock from was it Reinventure? Yeah, Reinventure Consulting. Reventure Consulting. That he's still consistently pointing out BlackRock is sitting back like, wait. This is gonna fall more. They're not stupid. Everybody is trying. All these companies are like, do anything you can to get rid of these. Oh my God, how much are we gonna have to drop the fucking price? How much are we gonna have to drop the fucking price, to the point where some of these companies I foresee are going to be taking straight up losses to get rid of these places. It's going to take a little bit longer. It's not going to be until like the winter that you really see like this, just that it'll be shocking to people. There'll be some story somewhere of like empty houses or houses that people won't do anything with the house because it sits there empty because they have to sell it, but they can't sell it they have to sell it above this number, but the market will not get there for a very, very, very long time. And yeah, so I just really want to point out just why. One, I wanted to make sure I did my little thing about anti-whites. That almost the way of detecting an anti-white is they don't like Trump. That's almost a genuine way you could detect them. Because it just takes digging. You just have to walk them through, and at some point, they like this. They love. This is always going, that there's some thing about white Americans that they can't wait to get them. They're going to get those Jews. They're going to get the blacks. They're going to kick out all the Mexicans. And you're just sitting there and you're like, where are you getting this? Like, who have you met who's like this? Like, where in America are these people that this happens, that they do this? They are what they do. Now, what's fascinating is when it comes to all Democratic constituencies, these people, when you go, what are what they do, oh my God, you don't even want to talk about it. You can't say the words for what some of these people are, what they do. But I just want to point out that feminists I keep proving they don't exist. I really love that, like, homosexual women are proving that they're like that they're a constituency with no principles whatsoever. None. They'll do anything. They are the most go along to get along constituency ever. When it's easy, it's an easy layup. There they are, yelling about something. Blah, blah, blah. Keep your hands off my body, my uterus. I want to talk about me and my pieces and parts. You take your hands off them. I know you want to put your hands on them. It's very important that you think about what I'm doing and disapprove, and then you want to put your hands in my uterus. You know, it's very, very important in their mind that men, somewhere there's men who are thinking about their genitalia, what they're doing with it. And me, I'm just like, are you all ever going to deal with the fact that almost every major city has this, like, problem prosecuting rapists, even though they're dominated by Democrats? Do you understand that your allies tend to be the people who beat you up for what you are and what you do, and also rape you? Does that concern you at all? That this is weird, like, thing going on? You're being soft on crime. Well, what crime? Rape? You know, like, because, yeah, you know, you are being soft on that. You are going to get along, because once the law is enforced, that is order. Order is masculine, and then the chaos that is in your mind that you want to be in the world, the mutation and illness and disease that you want the world to have, that plagues your world, your internal world, won't happen, because men will be like, oh, no, we can't have that. Be like, oh, you just want to, my uterus, you know, and you're like, no, you can't have people who are going to fuck kids teaching in school. Oh, you don't understand, you're just trying to oppress the children with uteruses, you know. You're just trying to make them not have sex until they're adults. And like, yeah, that's actually, yes, we are trying to retard their sexual maturation, because that's what you do in almost every single form of life. If you want to get the best outcomes, you retard the reproductive process until a very specific point, and then it's ideal. It's the ideal time. And yes, Christian Western civilization has figured that out, as after the birthday that has to do with entering culturally womanhood and manhood, such as the quinceañera, or we think of as becoming 18. Yeah, so it just, I don't know. I was rolling some stuff around in my mind. And I also wanted to say, there was an interesting article in Zero Hedge, and it hit me as I was once again closing up the shop all alone, because it's very difficult to find people who will do job for money. So, because people are what they do, that's welfare recipients. And so I just was sitting back like, there's this article about people quietly quitting, because I guess this was something like on Reddit, and then New York Times covered it, of course. Went from Reddit to the Times, of course. And if that's not its own, everybody knows about Reddit. So if that's not its own interesting, right? The Reddit to New York Times gateway. Yeah, can't make any jokes about that. Can't make any. Yeah, that's too much. So people are not doing those little extras. They're not doing that little bit extra. That little extra amount of time. This little bit of extra this, little bit of extra that. You're not seeing that. You're seeing people now like, it's 5 o'clock, ain't damn thing funny. You know, they're out. You know, it's end of shift, later. and it's true. More and more people are starting to get it. They're like, and then also people aren't. There is not at all like millennials. Millennials were down to kick it after work, but now they were saying nobody wants to hang out after work. There was even like a moment where there was somebody who they were like, "Hey, you want to go get a drink?" And it was because of how normal this was from their their culture of origin. And I was just at a stage in my mind where I was like, no. And also I wasn't drinking at all, and so I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm gonna just go home. And but it was really one of these moments where I was like, this is very interesting because people would go to the bar after work like every night or every other night. Some reggae versus hip hop night, or the burlesque night, or something. Go and get a few beers. It's not happening anymore. People aren't into it anymore. It's not the same kind of culture, and it's going to be interesting to see what that evolves into. But yeah, so just some thoughts. I'm carrying on too long. Have a good night, everybody. I'll have something up actually, probably in a day or two. I hit gold in the service. The Reinhard Galen's memoir. There's a whole section where he talks about Globka, talking with Adenauer, and then he discusses the anti-communists of the OUP, the Ukrainians, the anti-communists. And I'm just sitting there like, and then he gets into literally the assassination of Stepan Bandera. And so I'm going to probably have to, I'm going to look through and I'm going to try to just read that section, just read that part of it. Because to me, I want it for history's sake. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These guys who used to work with the Austrian painter back in Germany all lived to see another day, and Germany and the EU exists in the form it does because of the work that these guys were doing. The intelligence community was started by this guy and other people. He gets into Dulles, chatting with Alan Dulles, like how he and Dulles got along. Dulles and him got along great. I just love it. I love it, and I really want to get into. He even addresses the idea of like, this being accused of that he was this Nazi who had lived to, and people in Germany were really pissed about this. The German left, and he shrugged it off. He shrugged it off, and because their fight against communism was and that he had shit to do, and to really, one of the things I actually really appreciate is how he does break down what it is to be an intelligence man, like what it really takes, and it's pretty fascinating. It's a fascinating read. So yeah, so I've got to go poking around in that and read some of that. So take care, everybody. Remember, there's no such thing as a feminist. They don't exist, or else they would do